Hey there, y'all. It's your boy Tris coming to y'all upstate with Holy Baloney Jabronis. Also, you'll be seeing me on Your Normal Discussion podcast. I'm up here with my wife, family, and also their pets. For example, here's Capone, just chilling, waiting for me to finally make this food so that he can get some. But this is a video I've been wanting to make for maybe a couple weeks now that my homegirl Lee sent me, and just never got around to it because of everything from the Deaf News situation and everything else. But today seems like perfect time to make it because she said another video that I feel kind of relates to it in its own way. So just wanted to show y'all quick while I'm out here before I make this food so that me and Capone can finally eat. Let's see. Alright. Let's let it load.
Whenever something hurts you, there are two options. You can either become wounded or you can become wise. This is the choice. The more things hurt you early on in your life, the wiser you should have become, isn't it? But unfortunately, most people become wounded. This is simply because they just need an excuse to turn their own intelligence against themselves. That's all.
So, we kind of came differently on this point where, I don't know, to me, obviously, I feel like this is something that plagues a lot of us, especially in countries where we're dealing with fascism, we're dealing with capitalism, we're dealing with the pull yourself up by your own bootstraps mentality. And it's the reason why a lot of us either lean in with the, kind of like the positivity side of this type of mindset of, manifesting and changing your mindset and like willing the reality you want by not letting anything stop you. But then there's also the responsibility, church and government side of it, church and state, puritanical Protestant work ethic side of it, of, put your traumas on the back burner or use them to fuel you. Like, and it's very just, again, saying, you get wise from it or you get wounded. And it's like, maybe it's a little bit of both. Because I'm not one who really agrees with the whole, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger mentality. There is an angle of it that can eventually become true, but in the beginning, you are going to be wounded by the shit that came and hurt you. This is just natural. Wisdom comes later. Like, wisdom comes from the hindsight of having healed from it and being able to think about its place in your life and how it's harmed you. And so I just wanted to read a little of what I said to her in this exchange about it. She said to me, where I said, I see what he's saying, but can still be pretty problematic to say, why are you depressed, dummy? That was an opportunity to learn from your pain, and instead you want to spin like a top in mud and wallow in it, which is something my mom would say a lot about, spinning like a top in mud and like basically not changing, not growing, not doing what you need to do, which again is still part of this mindset of like, oh, when are you going to grow wise from it versus being wounded? But like, if anything, trauma, whatever, that didn't kill us, didn't make us stronger or wiser, it wounded us. However, that pain and those scars provide us an opportunity to relate to others who are hurting and suffering like we are and like we have, hopefully to help each other heal, and then hopefully come together as a collective to end the things harming us all and heal and progress the world. And that's where the wisdom lies. And I think, yeah, that's when you think of how the history of invasions, of occupations, of strife, of torture, of capital punishment, like, as sucky, as terrible as jails are and as badly as they need to be abolished and like something new take their place, they were still reformed to like stoning niggas. They were still reformed to chopping hands off. They were still reformed to executing, shaming people in the streets and executing them. You know, we got to that place because we realized, all right, we don't need to go this ham all the time and like have our populace feel tormented, essentially. And I think that's a big part of it where the human experience and why bad things happen to us isn't just the karma of the universe, isn't just, you know, the shit balancing out. The balance comes from us realizing individualistically and then collectively that, you know, we do harm to each other. There are things that we don't learn that we realize in hindsight because of the harm we've done to each other, because of the harm that was done to us. And so the best way to help is to learn from those things and then make a better situation for ourselves going forward, which to me is the heart of socialism and things like that. But here's how she responded to me, which I feel like is a crucial crutch to it before I play the latest video she sent to me. So Lee said, "Your rebuttal sounds good, but that's why therapy is needed. Because we tend to progress when we learn the lessons and grow. Everyone needs therapy at this point. For you to understand your pain, you gotta understand the pain of the people who hurt you. You need an emotional mirror." And yeah, that's exactly right. Like, as I put back to her after that, that's very true. That's the link between trauma and growth. And of course, I added, that's why universal health care for both mental and physical are so necessary. And that's true. Like, you will be wounded if there's nothing to help you learn the lesson and help you recover from the scars, to help you heal. Because they say hurt people hurt people. Healed people want to help nurture and grow other people. They want people to learn from the pain and to make a world that deals less unnecessary pain to other people. And to tie it off, one final thing, there's this clip of Brittany Renner crying in a car talking about forgiveness, and I think that's also another crucial tie into it when we talk about what makes you wise versus what leaves you wounded. So bring that up right now, and let's go. Oh, of course I turned it down. Okay.
I'm gonna get through this video, but I never understood when people said you forgive for you. There are a lot of people that I never even began to remotely forgive in my heart. Like Brittany, in private, still holding on to resentment. What was so hard about forgiveness for me was it seems like everybody just moves on with their life. And then here you are, emotionally, you felt like you just did 2 tours in Afghanistan. Arm blown off, forever changed by the events that happened to you. There's an acceptance part too where there are some apologies you'll just never get. And you have to validate yourself. I choose forgiveness because I don't want to keep looping in the same story. Because that same story, like the stories that we tell ourselves about our lives, are the same stories that keep us captive. The things that happen to us shape us, without a doubt. But they don't define us. Your wounds, your war wounds, it just means you showed up and you fought. And that's something to be proud of.
Which I think is another important part to all this. Of, you know, so often you hear people being like, God forgives, I don't, and all that. And, you know, growing up as a Christian, like, I would be like, like, I have a tension reaction to it because I get it, but I'm just like, well, you know, you don't want to grow living with resentment. But, like, the more you think about the way people are suffering with real abuse and going through that shit, like, it makes sense. Like, why would you forgive someone while especially while you're still living through that shit, or while they're still walking free and no accountability has been having or been given? And I think there's, in all these things, between trauma, between learning from it, and forgiveness, there's an intersection between all these. But it's not to become a doormat. It's not to just forgive things and not hold people accountable is not to look for vengeance or to annihilate, but rather for a way that we can recognize the natural harm that's in society and the harm that is caused by people who basically learn to survive or thrive off of harming others. And thinking, using the wisdom of the things we've gone through to realize other people have gone through that shit. And there are things that we need to cut off and hold people accountable for in society to like not minimize that, but to minimize the chances of them happening again, to mitigate from more of that happening, and then to kind of collectively grow as a society to realize that we can be better, that we can do better, that the way we've been living isn't the most helpful or, progressive or just beneficial for all of us. It's actually detrimental, and there are ways to lift each other up to be whole. So I hope in all of this, y'all get what I'm saying, that there's a balance in like recognizing there's lessons to be learned, but also not trying to force each other to, not recognize the wounds, not feel the pain, but to go through the pain, to get the healing, to let people know like the world shouldn't just be like society. The world is painful enough, but there's also enough beauty in the world that like we should be striving for balance and security for everyone and taking care of each other and not letting people struggle and suffer unnecessarily. That there are things we can be doing, like again, universal mental and physical health care, like universal basic income for people, guaranteed federal jobs, living wages. There are things that we can do to benefit society instead of just saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, or like you've seen your mother struggle, why would you want to struggle? There are things we could be doing better for society that we could learn from the pain of other people before us and the pain we're going through. But at the same time, as we go through the pain until society is better, we can think about, okay, how it can improve my life, and then how can I see that improvement comes for others too. And forgiving those who are hurting you unnecessarily, and forgiving yourself for the times you beat yourself up, but then also saying, okay, let's hold ourselves accountable, let's hold those people accountable, let's hold the world accountable, and let's make the changes we need to make so that we're not spiraling towards climate disaster, nuclear war, strife, instability, income inequality, all the worst things, and actually on a trajectory for a better world. So, enough of my rambling. I hope y'all understand and appreciate where I'm coming from. If you like, leave a comment. Alright? Peace out.